Hey, have you ever said no when you didn't really mean to say no and regretted that decision? I think we all have. So stay tuned, and we're going to teach you the great and simple art of saying no effectively. Hey, this is G.H. Glade for Coaching ADD and the Stimulus-Driven Brain. We've all probably had the experience of being asked to do something and saying yes rather than what we wanted to do was say no. It's like the choice between working inside in an office or sitting outside on a bright sunny day. Well, we're going to teach you how to say no with grace, and it's a very simple art to learn. What do we tend to do? Well, a lot of times we will simply avoid the issue. Some people call this the Canadian no, and not to disparage our folks across the border, they aren't any more conflict avoidant than any of us, but it's simply not responding to the question or the email or whatnot. And if confronted about saying, well, I must not have gotten that, there are other ways people respond. One is to say the false yes. They say yes, frankly, just to get you off their back because they don't want to be bothered with it. Then we have Nancy Reagan's version, just say no. Well, some people would argue that no is a sentence, but really it's not. But let's look at what all these things do to a relationship. Do you think any of them help a relationship? Have you ever been on the other side of that sort of experience and had people say a false no or just not respond? How'd that make you feel? The truth is, most of us are pretty conflict avoidant. No one likes conflict because it makes us look bad. It makes us feel bad. Oftentimes, it leads to a person feeling disrespected if a person enters into it in a conflictual way. So, there are really some times that you have to say no. One of the times to say no is when other people are making your choices for you. A lot of these revolve around use of your time. Have you ever had somebody say, hey, I signed you up to be on this committee, even though you really had no interest in it, and legitimately didn't have time to be a part of an extra pile on your plate? One of the dilemmas for people with ADD, and certainly we don't have a quarter on the market for it, is piling too much on our plate. Oftentimes we lose sight of the fact that if we put more on our plate, something else has to slip off. But certainly if you have someone making choices for you when it's not your choice, that's a time where you should be saying no. In the business world, sometimes we say yes when we mean no, so we won't damage a relationship or feel like we won't be on the upward curve of things. This is another time where if you say it with grace and skill, it doesn't damage the relationship, but it does set that needed boundary that we all have to have with others in our life. It really is a matter of doing it with art and grace. Quid pro quo. We've all heard that recently. It's been in our minds for various reasons that we all know for a long time. And it's the expectation that if I do something for you, you're going to do something for me. And this is oftentimes a time to say no, because other people may not be playing by that same rule. You may do things for them with the expectation that they're going to reciprocate, but it never happens. A better way to do something for people is to do it without expectations and really free yourself of that. You know, there's an old saying that you should never lend money that you can't afford to lose. Again, it's letting go of expectations if you're doing something for someone, rather than entering it with an expected quid pro quo. So how do we go about doing a no and a boundary with something we really don't want to do? This came up for me recently in my own life as I was asked to do some writing for a major website. And and it's not something I wanted to do. But I really like the person who extended the offer, and I didn't want to damage that relationship. So here's how you structure an artful no. First of all, I wrote back to him that I was really honored that he thought of me and my writing in that way, and that he had that de facto respect to even ask me. And I was so pleased that he was willing to open those doors for me and connect the dots for me to enter into, kind of a relationship with people in a major business and website. Next, I told him that's not something I want to do right now. And again, I thanked him again for his consideration. And I let him know that I'd be open to other similar offers, but this was one I really didn't want to do. Now, you may have people persist in asking, and it's a simple response. It's saying, no, this isn't something I want to do, and I really appreciate you making the offer. And what this does is it sets a boundary. It lets people know when you say no, that's exactly what you mean. So the best way to gain a new skill is to practice. Practice saying no to things that might come up that are little or incidental, and redirect that back to, it's not something I want to do. And respect the person for asking, and see what kind of response you get. This has been G.H. Glade for Coaching ADD and the Stimulus-Driven Brain. If you like these videos, please go down and hit a like, and also share this video. I really appreciate other people taking advantage of this information. Until next time, we'll see you then. Until then, I'm going to enjoy catching some rays, because I said no. I'm not in an office right now. I love it. Take care.